everyone, it's Nicole. Welcome back to my channel and another paper crafting video tutorial. Today we're going to create a couple of beautiful fall leaves inspired cards with the October 2024 card kit from Simon Says Stamp called Two-Step Simple Leaves. This is a beautiful kit and I used tons of components from the kit to create my cards today. So let's go ahead and get started. I have my Two-Step Simple Leaves stamp set, and I am also going to take some of the ivory cardstock included in the kit. Now, almost everything I'm using today is from the kit, with the exception of some ink and things like that, adhesive from my stash. I've cut the cardstock in half and we are going to stamp these leaves a couple of times. I decided while I had them in my MISTI, I might as well create a couple of cards, stamp these multiple times and see what all I could create. I'm taking the outlines from the leaves and I'm placing them in my MISTI a little ways apart. Not included in the kit, but available for separate purchase is the coordinating dies for this stamp set, which make it very easy to die cut and add to your project. Once I have my leaves in place, I'm going to take a black ink for outline. I think I used Hero Arts Intensified Black ink here, and we want to stamp these and make sure we get a good impression. I've never stamped these before, so I did end up having to stamp them a couple of times to get a good outline, plus I really do need to refill my ink pad. Then I'm going to take the other half of that 8.5 by 11 sheet that I trimmed in half a minute ago and stamp them again. This is going to give us two sets of these leaves. Next, we're going to take the first step of the process and we are going to, or I guess that's technically the second step, we are going to stamp our leaves with some Simon Says Stamp Positively Saturated inks. I have a bunch of my favorite inks here. We're going to use Paprika to do the base color of a couple of the leaves. So I'm inking up these two leaves really well and stamping that paprika color. Then I'm going to flip it to the other half sheet of cardstock and stamp it again. The allspice color will be used with the stencil included in the kit to do some shading. And we will do all of that in a little bit. We want to do all of our stamping first. Next, I am going to take some nutmeg color ink, and the paprika that we used as the base for the first two leaves will actually be our shading color for these. So nutmeg is the color I used for these leaves here. I see I missed a little area on that one. And again, just flipping back and forth between the two pieces of paper. And if I need to, and I think I did a lot, I would stamp them a couple of times just to get really nice coverage. Let's go ahead and do our next two leaves. I did 4 different color combinations total. For this one, we are going to pull out terracotta and brick. And we're going to start with the terracotta. The brick will be our shading color. If I don't have cubes, some of these colors have not been released in cubes yet, I went ahead and used my full-size ink pads. Next, we have Sangria and Cabernet. Sangria is going to be our base color for the remaining two leaves. You'll notice I did all of my leaves in shades of kind of rusts and oranges and reds, just very beautiful autumnal colors. All right. Oh, and I guess I accidentally, no, I think I did Sangria. I hope so. All right. Let's do the other ones really quickly. And then once we have all of our leaves stamped, we're going to take the Two-Step Simple Leaves 6x6 stencil, and we're also going to take the Tim Holtz Tiny Blending Tools included in the kit. I love that all of this comes in the kit, and we are going to use kind of a pouncing motion with our darker shading color of ink to pounce on and add some color. I'm going to place the stencil over top of the first leaves. We're grabbing our allspice color of ink and one of these little pouncers, and we're just going to pounce on that color kind of around the bottom and up towards the center through the veining. Now it will kind of soften and mute out a little bit as that ink dries. It won't be quite as blotchy. But I really love this technique for just giving our leaves a lot more dimension. We're going to do the same thing on both sheets of paper. I also want to do this for the other leaf stamped in that first color. So I did 2 leaves in each color combo basically. We're going to pounce on a little bit more of the allspice, and we will do this on the second one as well. Beautiful. Okay, next up, we're going to take our next color combination. I'm going to line up the stencil. I'm going to grab the other pouncing tool. You get 4 of the foams and 2 pouncing tools, and we're going to use that paprika color to pounce that over the nutmeg. Just a little bit here and there, again, just to give our leaves lots of dimension. Same thing for the other leaf stamped in that nutmeg base color. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? I didn't clean my stencil at all as I was working, but if you feel more comfortable, you could definitely clean it off in between each color change. For the next color combination, we're going to take the brick color of ink and go over those orange leaves. I did switch out the foam. Just put a clean foam on here, and now we're going to pounce on that brick color. Beautiful shading. Look at how gorgeous this looks, you guys. Oh my gosh, I love it so much. And we're going to switch to the other half sheet of paper and pounce on that brick. We have one last color combo left. We're going to grab our cabinet color of ink, and we are going to pounce this on. Now, this one had the least amount of effect. These leaves are a lot smaller than the others, so I don't know that you can see it that much, but I did go ahead and do it. I do think some of the leaves look a little bit darker, especially in real life. On the screen, it's going to be a lot harder to tell. Okay, so once we have all of our leaves, we are going to take those coordinating dies that I mentioned a minute ago that are a separate add-on purchase, and we are going to die cut all of our leaves for our cards. Oh, I had trouble lining that up. Haha. There we go. I dropped the pouncer and it threw me off because it did make a little smudge. Here are the coordinating dies for the 2-step simple leaves, including Wonderful Sentiments, which is awesome. I didn't use the sentiment dies this time, but I love that they're included. So now we are going to take the Fluted Forest Decor embossing folder and the dark chocolate cardstock included in the kit. I've trimmed the dark chocolate cardstock in half, and then I've created 2 4 1/4 by 5.5 inch panels from that 1/2 sheet of cardstock. I'm placing it in my embossing folder. Again, that embossing folder is included in the kit. It's called Fluted Forest Decor. And we're going to run this through our die cutting machine with the right sandwich for these 3D embossing folders. I like to use just the base platform in my spellbinders, the embossing folder with the cardstock, and one of the cutting plates. Then I'm going to remove it. Oh, beautiful. If you think that the embossing doesn't give you the deepest impression, you could always spray your water with a little bit of, or you can spray your water. You can spray your cardstock with a little water first, and it's going to give you a much better look. Once I have both of these, I am going to grab a distress crayon from my stash. I believe this is Crooked Broomstick, and I like to hold it straight up and down and just rub it or kind of color over the raised areas on my background design. This is going to pull the design out from the background and really make it stand out. Now, I purposely picked something that once I kind of blend this out with my finger is going to be very soft. I don't want it to overwhelm the leaves. I want it to accentuate the rest of the card design, but I definitely want you to be able to see these. And as you add a little bit of that distress crayon over the top, look at how the pine cones and leaves all really pop. I love this so much. Now, it doesn't look great here at first. What you're going to want to do is take a finger. I usually use my ring finger, and I just kind of rub that very gently, but buff it, actually. I say rub it, buff it into the cardstock. This is going to give you a much softer, more beautiful look. It's okay if some of this gets into the background. It's not going to change the background color very much of your card, but look at how then the embossing just stands out. It looks so beautiful. We're going to do this for both of the backgrounds, and then we're going to attach all of our leaves all over the background with foam adhesive. We're creating an all over card design today, and we're going to be adding our sentiment at the end of this. So we're going to take one set of the leaves and attach them all over with foam adhesive, some of them hanging off the sides. We're going to trim that excess away here in a little bit, and I'll even reuse some of those little scrap pieces to give the illusion of extra leaves on my panel. I'm going to have them floating this way and that. I really wanted to give the look of this beautiful fall scene. I'm using my favorite Simon Says Stamp foam adhesive squares. And I want to make sure that I'm giving like equal distance between all of the leaves, plus having some of them hang off the edge, as I mentioned. Such a beautiful way to design a card, and would look great in lots of different occasions and seasons, not just for fall. Now, I love cards like this because many different kinds of sentiments will work. One of the great things about this two-step fall leaves, or simple leaves, pardon me, stamp set, the sentiments in the stamp set can work for a lot of different occasions, or you can totally pick a stamp set from your stash and create a different kind of card. So have fun with it. You could grab a bigger sentiment. The sentiments in the stamp set are pretty small, and I did choose to use those, but you can definitely do all kinds of things with this. I'm snipping off the excess all the way around the edges of my panel, saving all those little bits and pieces, because as you've probably seen me do in the past, I do like to reuse a lot of these. There are a couple of areas that I definitely feel need extra. So you'll notice I'm kind of playing around, seeing what I think looks the best. I think we're going to stick that one up here. And whatever I do on this panel, I am going to repeat for the second panel. And that includes the distress crayon and Crooked Broomstick over the embossing and the placement of my leaves. So I managed to fit 3 of those little leaves along the edges. Oh, I love it so much. Now that I have both backgrounds done, I did do the other one off camera, I am going to grab some of this foundry wax in the color Gilded, and we are going to use a paintbrush to pick it up and spatter it all over the background. Now, the thing about the foundry wax is you do need to heat set it. Otherwise, as it dries, it will just rub off. It's going to give us this beautiful gold gilded look. So I did use a plastic spatter box to kind of contain my mess. I do want to wash that paintbrush right away, but I want to go all over the panel. I was very generous with the foundry wax and my spatter. And it's going to just, again, accentuate that beautiful gold of the distress crayon in the background. The color is actually Crooked Broomstick. It was a Halloweenish distress crayon color. Anything is going to work here, but I just kind of think it all ties together beautifully. I love those little accents of gold. And then to go over this just a little bit more, this is going to be a little more subtle. I'm going to use the Spellbinders Onyx Silk and have some black spatter. And I'm just kind of tapping it off of the applicator. It looks kind of like a nail polish applicator all over the panel. Give us a few darker spatters. We're going to let those completely dry, and I'm going to work on my sentiments. So from the stamp set, I do want to go ahead and stamp my greetings. I'm going to use an acrylic block. These are tiny sentiments. And I'm going to stamp thinking of you, or thankful for you, pardon me. And I'm also going to stamp You're in My Thoughts using the Allspice color of ink. Using a sterling label die from my stash, this is a Simon Says Stamp product, I am going to die cut this with one of the label dies, and we're going to keep the middle part. For the outer frame itself, we're actually going to die cut that from a gold cardstock and then use the coordinating sterling label embossing folder to give the gold cardstock the look of a metal label. It's one of my favorite things to do. I've talked about this quite a lot here. Recently, I had forgotten I had this product. I did a clean of my craft room before Stamptember began, and I found this set and I have been obsessed with it. I think it is such a great basic to have in your stash. I especially love how it gives the look of metal book plates, but without the bulk and weight. It's just simple paper, which I love. So I am gluing that little frame, the sterling label or book plate, if you will, to my card with liquid adhesive. And then we're going to put some foam where, because this overlaps some things that have foam and some that don't, I did piece a little bit of foam into the bookplate area, and I'm going to put glue on the rest of the leaves, and then we're going to replace that little inner piece that we have stamped our greeting on. And just like that, we have sentiments on our card. I mean, look, it even looks like it has little rivets in it. I just love absolutely everything about this. It's just phenomenal. Now, the next thing that we are going to use in our project today that are included are the Simon Says Stamp Pastel Tones Dazzling Gems. And you may think, pastel tones, fall theme card, how is this even going to work? These gems are amazing, so good, and I think they really go with a lot of things. So you're going to see me add them. I did pick a lot of like the pinks or peaches and yellow tones. There's some blue in here, and if I had created a card that had, I like fall cards with blue, the blue would have worked really well, but I chose to kind of go more the peaches or the peachy pink and goldish or yellow tones. I didn't use the green either because I didn't do any green leaves, and I just thought it would kind of detract or take away from my card. So kind of be aware of that, but you get tons and tons of gems in these little containers. So adorable. I'm adding little dabs of glue with my glue press and then using the embellishment wand to place those gems in the background, just scattering them, adding that extra touch of sparkle and shine to our card. So just a recap, from the October 2024 card kit, I am using the two-step Simple Leaves 6x8 stamp set, the Fluted Forest Decor embossing folder, the two-step Simple Leaves stencil, the Pastel Tones Dazzling Gems, the Ranger Tiny Blending Tools, the Ivory and Dark Chocolate cardstock. So absolutely amazing. I'm going to grab some card bases now, and I did grab some pre-cut card bases from my stash, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to score them, fold them in half. I'm going to trim a scant little bit off of that long side, and the reason being, because I embossed the background and I did trim it to 4 1/4 by 5.5 inches first, it could be slightly smaller. It shrinks just a little bit with that embossing, and I don't want any of the white edge of my card base to show. Since this is an edge-to-edge card, I will glue this in place, and that is it, my friends. Thank you guys so much for joining me today for these 2 cards featuring the Simon Says stamp October 2024 card kit called 2-Step Simple Leaves. The supplies I used to create my cards are listed and linked below the video here on YouTube. Here is another video that you might be interested in. Thank you guys so much for joining me today, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye! Thank you so much for joining me today for another paper crafting tutorial. I love being able to share with this incredible community of crafters. I want to give a huge shout out and special thank you to my amazing Patreon members. If you're interested in joining Patreon, please click the link in the description underneath the video here on YouTube. Patreon is a private community where you can support more of what I do. There is exclusive content, information, and behind-the-scenes content. Top-tier members will receive a handmade birthday card during your birthday month, access to D-Stash, and monthly exclusive lives, plus so much more. We would love to have you join our growing community. Please be sure to subscribe to my channel, click that like button, and don't forget to hit the notification bell to always be notified when I have a new video. Thanks for watching!